Saint Augustine Commentary on Psalm 48. The title of this psalm is A Song of Praise to the Sons of Korah on the second day of the week. Concerning this, what the Lord deigns to grant, receive ye like sons of the firmament. For on the second day of the week, that is, the day after the first, which we call the Lord's Day, which also is called the second weekday, was made the firmament of heaven. Genesis chapter 1 verses 6 to 8. The second day of the week then we ought not to understand but of the church of Christ, but the church of Christ in the saints, the church of Christ in those who are written in heaven, the church of Christ in those who to this world's temptations yield not. For they are worthy of the name of firmament. The church of Christ, then, in those who are strong, of whom says the Apostle, We that are strong ought to bear the infirmities of the weak. Romans 15:1 is called the firmament. Of this it is sung in this psalm. Let us here acknowledge, associate, glory, reign. For her called firmament here also in the apostolic epistles, the pillar and firmament of the truth. 1 Timothy 3:15. Great is the Lord and greatly to be praised, verse 1. That is, in the city of our God in his holy mountain. This is the city set upon an hill which cannot be hid. This is the candle which is not hidden under a bushel. Matthew 5:14, 15. To all known, to all proclaimed. Yet are not all men citizens thereof, but they in whom great is the Lord and greatly to be praised. What then is that city? Let us see whether perhaps, since it is said, in the city of our God, in his holy mountain, we ought not to enquire for this mountain, where also we may be heard. What then is that mountain, brethren? One is it with great care to be inquired for, with great solicitude investigated, with labor also to be occupied and ascended. But if in any part of the earth it is, what shall we do? Shall we go abroad out of our own country, that to that mountain we may arrive? Nay, then we are abroad, when in it we are not. For that is our city, if we are members of the King, who is the head of the same city. For there was a certain cornerstone contemptible, whereat the Jews stumbled. Romans 9:32. Cut out of a certain mountain without hands, that is, coming of the kingdom of the Jews without hands, because human operation went not with Mary, of whom was born Christ. Matthew 1:16. But if that stone, when the Jews stumbled thereat, had remained there, you had not had whither to ascend. But what was done? What says the prophecy of Daniel? What but that the stone grew and became a great mountain? How great? So that it filled the whole face of the earth. Daniel 2:35. By growing then and by filling the whole face of the earth, that mountain came to us. Why then, we, the mountain as though absent, and not as being present, ascend to it, that in us the Lord may be great and greatly to be praised? Further, when he had said, in the city of our God in his holy mountain, what added he? Spreading abroad the joys of the whole earth, the mountains of Zion. Verse 2. Zion is one mountain. Why then mountains? Is it that to Zion belonged also those which came from the other side, so as to meet together on the cornerstone, and become two walls, as it were two mountains, one of the circumcision, the other of the uncircumcision, one of the Jews, the other of the Gentiles, no longer adverse, although diverse, because from different sides, now in the corner, not even diverse. For he is our peace who had made both one. Ephesians 2:14. The same cornerstone which the builders rejected is become the headstone of the corner. The mountain has joined in itself two mountains. One house there is, and two houses, two because coming from different sides, one because of the cornerstone, wherein both are joined together. Here also this, the mountains of Zion, the sides of the north, are the city of the great King. See the Gentiles, the sides of the north. The sides of the north are joined to the city of the great King. The north is wont to be contrary to Zion. Zion, forsooth, is in the south, the north over against the south. Who is the north, but he who said, I will sit in the sides of the north, I will be like the Most High? Isaiah chapter 14, verses 13 and 14. The devil had held dominion over the ungodly and possessed the nations, serving images, adoring demons. And all whatsoever there was of humankind anywhere throughout the world, by cleaving to him, had become north. But since he who binds the strong man takes away his goods, Matthew 12:29, and makes them his own goods, men delivered from infidelity and superstition of devils, believing in Christ, are fettered on to that city, have met in the corner that wall that comes from the circumcision, and that was made the city of the great King, which had been the sides of the north. Therefore also in another scripture is it said, out of the north some clouds of golden color. Great is the glory and honor of the Almighty. Job 37:22. For great is the glory of the physician, when from being despaired of the sick recovers. Out of the north come clouds, and not black clouds, not dark clouds, not lowering, but of golden color. Whence but by grace illumined through Christ? See, the sides of the north are the city of the great King. Let the psalm then follow and say, God shall be known in her houses. Now, in her houses, because of the mountains, because of the two walls, because of the two suns, God shall be known in her houses. But he commands grace, therefore he added, when he shall take her up. For what would that city have been unless he had taken her up? Would it not immediately have fallen unless it had such foundation? For other foundation can no man lay than that is laid, which is Jesus Christ. 1 Corinthians 3:11. Let none then glory in his own merits, but he that glories, let him glory in the Lord. 1 Corinthians 1:31. The Lord then has taken up this city, and is known therein, that is, his grace is known in that city. For whatever that city has which glories in the Lord, it has not of itself. For because of this it is said, what have you that thou did not receive? 1 Corinthians 4:7. For lo, the kings of the earth are gathered together. Verse 3. Behold now those sides of the north, see how they come, see how they say, Come ye and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, and he will teach us his way, and we will walk in it. Isaiah 2:3. And have come together in one. In what one but that cornerstone? Ephesians 2:20. They saw it, and so they marveled. Verse 4. After their marveling at the miracles and glory of Christ, what followed? They were troubled, they were moved. Verse 5. Trembling took hold upon them. Whence took trembling hold upon them, but from the consciousness of sins? Let them run then king after king. Kings, let them acknowledge the King. Therefore says he elsewhere, Yet have I been set by him a king upon his holy hill of Zion. A king then was heard of, set up in Zion, to him were delivered possessions even to the uttermost parts of the earth. Kings behoved to fear lest they should lose the kingdom, lest the kingdom be taken from them. As wretched Herod feared, and for the child slew the children. Matthew 2:16. But fearing to lose his kingdom, he deserved not to know the king. Would that he too had adored the king with the Magi, not by ill seeking the kingdom slain the innocents and perished guilty. For as concerning him he destroyed the innocents. But as for Christ, even a child, the children dying for him did he crown. Therefore behoved kings to fear when it was said, Yet have I been set a king by him upon his holy hill of Zion, an inheritance to the uttermost parts of the earth shall he give him, who set him up king. Thence also this is said to them, Understand now, therefore, O you kings, be instructed, you judges of the earth. Serve the Lord with fear, and rejoice unto him with trembling. And what did they? Their pains as of a woman in travail. What are the pains of a woman in travail, but the pangs of a penitent? See the same conception of pain and travail. Of your fear, says Isaiah, we have conceived, we have travailed of the spirit of salvation. Isaiah 26:17-18. So then the kings conceived from the fear of Christ that by travailing they brought forth salvation by believing on him whom they had feared. Their pains as of a woman in travail. When of travail you hear, expect a birth. The old man travails, but the new man is born. With a strong wind you shall break the ships of Tarshish. Verse 6. Briefly understood, this is, you shall overthrow the pride of the nations. But where in this history is mentioned the overthrowing of the pride of the nations? Because of the ships of Tarshish. Learned men have inquired for Tarshish a city, that is, what city was signified by this name, and to some it had seemed that Cilicia is called Tarshish, because its metropolis is called Tarsus. Of which city was the Apostle Paul, being born in Tarsus of Cilicia? Acts 21:39. But some have understood by it Carthage, being haply sometimes so named, or in some language so signified. For in the prophet Isaiah it is thus found, "Haul, you ships of Carthage." But in Ezekiel, by some interpreters, the word is translated Carthage, by some Tarshish. And from this diversity it can be understood that the same which was called Carthage is called Tarsus. But it is manifest that in the beginning of its reign Carthage flourished with ships, and so flourished that among other nations they excelled in trafficking and navigation. For when Dido, flying from her brother, escaped to the parts of Africa where she built Carthage, the ships which had been prepared for commerce in his country she had taken with her for her flight, the princes of the country consenting to it, and the same ships also when Carthage was built failed not in traffic. And hence that city became too proud, so that justly by its ships may be understood the pride of the nations, presuming on things uncertain, as on the breath of the winds. Now let none presume on full sails, and on the seeming fair state of this life as of the sea. Be our foundation in Zion, there ought we to be established, not to be carried about with every wind of doctrine. Ephesians 4:14. Whoso then by the uncertain things of this life had been puffed up, let them be overthrown, and be all the pride of the nations subjected to Christ, who shall, with a strong wind, break all the ships of Tarshish. Not of any city, but of Tarshish. How with a strong wind? With very strong fear. For so all pride feared him that shall judge, as on him humble to believe, lest him exalted it should be. As we have heard, so have we seen. Verse 7. Blessed church, at what time you have heard, at another time you have seen. She heard in promises, sees in performance. Heard in prophecy, sees in the gospel. For all things which are now fulfilled were before prophesied. Lift up your eyes then, and stretch them over the world. See now his inheritance, even to the uttermost parts of the earth. See now is fulfilled what was said, all kings shall fall down before him, all nations shall serve him. See fulfilled what was said, be thou exalted, O God, above the heavens, and your glory above all the earth. See him whose feet and hands were pierced with nails, whose bones hanging on the tree were counted, upon whose vesture lots were cast. Matthew 27:35. See reigning whom they saw hanging, see sitting in heaven. Matthew 26:64. Whom they despised, walking on earth. See thus fulfilled, all the ends of the earth shall remember and turn to the Lord, and all the kindreds of the nations shall worship before him. Seeing all this, exclaim with joy, as we have heard, so have we seen. Justly the church herself is so called out of the Gentiles. They to whom the prophets were not sent first heard and understood the prophets. They who first heard not, afterwards hearing marveled. They remained behind to whom they were sent, carrying the books, understanding not the truth, having the tables of the testament, and not holding the inheritance. But we, as we have heard, so have we seen. And where do you hear? Where do you see? In the city of the Lord of hosts, in the city of our God. God has founded it forever. Let not heretics insult, divided into parties. Let them not exalt themselves who say, Lo, there is Christ here, or Lo, there. Matthew 24:23. Whoso says, Lo, here is Christ, or Lo, there, invites to parties. Unity God promised. The kings are gathered together in one, not dissipated through schisms. But haply that city which has held the world shall sometime be overthrown. Far be the thought. God has founded it forever. If then God has founded it forever, why fearest thou lest the firmament should fall?